Pollination is one of those natural processes that hardly anyone pays attention to, probably because it is barely noticeable, and what we end up seeing are the results of the pollination. For this reason, scientists say that farmers assume that pollination will happen regardless of the conditions under which a crop is grown. This assumption is causing many farmers to engage in practices that hinder pollination, something that scientists warn is likely to send the country deeper into food insecurity.
The companies that are buying sunflower seeds from farmers, they say our sunflower has no enough oil. When you did analysis of pollinated and non-pollinated sunflower, we realized that there is very high increase in oil content of flowers or sunflowers that have been visited by bees.
The use of pesticides is usually detrimental to bees, and one can reduce the use of conventional chemical pesticides and switch to use biopesticides if they're available.
Pest control is now slowly turning into the greatest threat to pollinators, honeybees especially. These bees are responsible for at least 80% of all pollination.
And if bees would disappear, we would lose all those crops that are dependent on pollination. Those 75%, which includes quite a lot of cash crops, like coffee and cotton.
This threat to bees is the reason a bee health lab was established in Kenya in 2014 to look into the factors affecting bees and the impact that has on food and honey production.
There are 3 different shades of honey. There's this shade, and this shade.
Yeah.
3 different shades. What is the difference between the 3 of them?
The color of the honey is depends on the plants where the bees have collected the nectar.
Greenhouse farming has become very popular among horticulture farmers because the system is built to keep out all kinds of insects out of that greenhouse, thereby keeping the environment within the structure itself very carefully controlled. But now one of the concerns that is coming up is that as you keep out these insects, you're keeping away pollinators as well. Now one of the research that is happening here at Isipe is to ensure how do you introduce pollinators into this greenhouse farming system, and one way through which they're doing that is by introducing beehives into these greenhouses.
But you can also enrich the environment and try to promote the pollinators in the surrounding by promoting structures where they can build their nests and where they can find also food.
The Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization is running a similar pollinator project with farmers across the country, intended to sensitize the farmers to allow insect pollinators access to the flowers in order to increase food production through pollination.
We had to control the spraying in our chambers. Time factor. Not in the mornings or in the midday when the bees are very busy in our chambers.
For Isipe, most of the research being done is still in the early stages, but the scientists are teaching the farmers to incorporate stingless beekeeping alongside crops, as well as plant flowers around the crops to attract pollinators. Zainab Wandati, NTV, for Food Friday.